So my name is Simion. Come from a big family of 8, and yeah, I study and work full time. I try to do both of them full time, but some of it part time, some of it full time. I work in IT and telecommunications, so I'm a enterprise operations specialist, and then I study online, doing construction management at the moment. Yeah, that's just the gist of myself. I've lived in Adelaide for 14 years now. Oh, actually a little bit longer than that, but yeah, a bit more than 14 years. I tend to view myself as quite cosmopolitan, in the sense of, yes, I believe I'm Australian, but my background being Rwandan does influence, I guess my character and who I am. But I genuinely, I guess, view myself as African Australian. In a lot of cases, you know, we tend to be quite motivated by, you know, seeing what our siblings and what our family, I guess, achieves. And for me, a big part of my aspiration is obviously to follow in the footsteps of my elder siblings in completing a degree. I did previously start a degree, as it was alluded to, and obviously there was no job prospects, so from that I had to pivot and find an alternative, something that I enjoyed, that had probably better job prospects. But I still needed to find something that I actually enjoyed, something that I could actually excel at. And it's always a work in progress. So yeah, at the moment, I'm in my end of my second year, going into my third year of the program. But it's just one of those things which I've kind of just navigated slowly with managing work as well. Previously, when I first finished high school, I wanted to actually become a cop. Yeah, a cop, like a police officer. But yeah, that is probably not an avenue I'm looking to take anytime soon. But I think it was just born from the idea of being able to serve the public, and I think there is other ways that I can serve the public, whether it would be in participating in social issues in my local community, and so I think that can be paired with whatever course that you do or whatever trajectory you take on. I mean, when I first went to university, I did a Bachelor's of Arts, and I had majored in politics, and I always had that interest of public policy. In a lot of cases, it was pretty much born from the idea from growing up in a country where people aren't enfranchised within the democratic system, and you go by day with the same sort of policies that don't achieve a lot of good outcomes for the local population. So that desire, I kind of needed a way to manifest it. When I moved to Australia, and living in Australia, where I had the opportunity to actually go and engage in public policy and engage in social issues, I wanted to kind of put myself into the mix. Even though I was unsuccessful, it was still a great learning experience, and also hopefully paving the way for the next person to come along, and the next generation to come along, and have something to maybe aspire for as well. Dad was a teacher, so he definitely has a heavy influence, and then Mum's influence comes from from that longing that a lot of parents do have, where they want their kids to do better than what they were able to achieve. And unfortunately for my mum, her generation didn't get the opportunity to even finish primary school or even go to high school. So their motivation was to see us achieve what they weren't able to achieve. So yeah, especially our parents as well, they always wanted kids to be doctors and engineers, and I guess other very, let's say, might be assumed glamorous sort of titles and roles. I think if they had it their way, we'd all be doctors. So yeah, but at the same time, for them it's more important that we pursue our dreams, and and we actually do something with our lives, not in the sense of like, but yeah, achieve something. And as I said, it is still that thing of they want us to achieve what they weren't able to achieve. So if we finish a diploma or a degree or a bachelor's, that's something they weren't able to do. So it doesn't matter what it's in, as long as we've achieved it, we've kind of taken that step. Yeah. They
wanted us to study. That was their number one priority. Mm-hmm. So how did you kind of like get the messages from? Was it from your parents, or was it parents and these, being the youngest, these older siblings as role models?
Actually, it was a mix. Probably, I mean, the parents would reinforce that message quite often. Just be like, how are you doing? Checking on you, and also, I guess, good thing and a bad thing. If you wanted to get out of doing any chores, you'd be like, I'm studying. They'd usually always leave you alone. So yeah, they definitely understood the importance of it. But for myself, probably the biggest motivation, even to now, is, being the youngest of 6 and seeing all my siblings have been able to attain a bachelor's degree and, finish their undergrads. It motivates me as well to essentially want to sit in a room or be in the same sort of level as them. Even though I don't think, it's more in my mind, I don't think they judge me for it, but yeah.
Can you remember having challenges settling into school?
Yeah, definitely. There were challenges. I think the biggest challenge is just navigating the Aussie accent. Sounds like English, but it's English. That was probably the tough part, just communicating and keeping up with the pace of other students, because a lot of other students were better readers, could read out loud better, were better presenters than myself. So it did present a challenge, but it's something that I just had to continue persisting in. I did English intensive for probably a term, and then I based on the recommendation of the teacher, recommended for me to just go into the standard one because I had enough English. Yeah. The school that I went to had quite a diverse cohort of students, so I felt included. But probably in the early stages, because it was just me and my brother in a lot of classes, I kind of do just stick together. But as time goes by and he moved on to high school and I was still in primary, I was able to assimilate quite well.
Thinking of yourself back in school, that's some of your bit of challenges, but what were you proud of?
Just finishing year 12, and finishing. The teachers were always quite supportive. I remember probably 2 of my favorite teachers. One was in my home group teacher in primary school, Mr. Wilch. Even to this day, I still remember him. Probably should mention his name. But he was supportive in the sense of would always take time after school to support and help me with, because he knew that I had some challenges in aspects of my reading and spelling. He'd always spend extra time, as well as another teacher in high school that I had in my English comms class would spend extra time, whether it be lunchtime and after school, and was always quite supportive to stay back and help out. So yeah.
Can you remember when you were going from primary school to secondary school, how that decision was made with where you go to school?
Just where my brothers were going. So yeah, it was pretty easy decision. Yeah. I'd like to say secondary education equips us enough to know what to do, but being 17, you really don't know much of what's out there. So you tend to take on the ship mentality and just go where your friends are going, go on to university, get into whatever you can get into. So those decisions were kind of just influenced by, at the initial stages, they were influenced by I guess what your friends were doing. But as time went on, when you weren't seeing, say, when I wasn't seeing results in some of the courses that I was doing, it had to kind of be more of just an assessment, a decision made by myself, in the sense of like, where do I see myself in the next 5 years? Where do I see myself in the next 10 years? And is what I'm doing right now going to get me to that stage? Yeah, and I think that's something you have to become comfortable with, because there is a lot of pressure in, whether it be from parents, from family, community expectations. There definitely is a lot of pressure, and it becomes even more intense the older you get as well. But at the end of the day, I always kind of like remembered something important. Someone said once, where it was, you're always going to be learning in life. So life, at the end of the day, the people who are going to be more successful, who are going to succeed in life, are those people that are adaptable and are willing to commit to lifelong learning. So learning is not something that stops once you leave high school or you leave university. It's something that continues. So whether you shift or stay or even stop completely, I think having the mindset that there is further learning to do, that's probably more important than anything.
Is there any connection with where you want to get to with with your family that you've come from?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, yeah, you do. The people that are the most influence to you are the people you hang around with the most, I guess. And so my family is my circle, and so seeing their achievements and seeing them being able to build families, have homes, that's kind of, that definitely influences where I want to go to.
In university, and I'm not sure about secondary, with being somebody from African background, was that challenging at all, or it was fine in terms of sense of belonging?
Sense of belonging, it wasn't challenging as much because I think the good thing about Australia's universities, they do attract a lot of international students. So it is quite a cosmopolitan sort of environment that you're in. But I think the challenges are, you do feel quite isolated from that jump from high school to university, because it is a very self-driven education. And you are your master of your own faith, I guess. So I guess just leaning on your fellow students, fellow classmates, because I think just remembering that maybe you're not alone. There's other students that are probably going through the same thing. And I think maybe with the shift to online learning, that probably becomes a bit more defined, because you physically are separated from the cohort. So it is a matter of getting actually participating in those forums and emailing and responding and just doing anything you can to just stay engaged with your fellow classmates and I guess the faculty. I guess the friends you make are through group assessments, but because you are all sort of have day commitments and you all study at night, you don't have that social aspect to it. So it is a very transactional relationship. And then once, I guess, the course is over, unless you meet those people in the next course, you probably just lose contact.
Do you still consider yourself a person of refugee background, or have you moved on from that? It
dies off slowly. I think Australia still has a long way to go before I guess I'll probably say Africans were kind of like that sort of current wave of migration. So we still do feel like refugees. I have friends that are Italians and they're second, third generations, but us as being the first generation, in a lot of cases, we still definitely do feel as refugees, for sure.
You as this young man that you are now, what words of advice would you have to that boy?
That's a great question. I love these questions. I love listening to them, not giving them. Read more. Absolutely, read more. Yeah, pick up the book. The Premier's Reading Challenge. Actually embrace it. Don't shortcut it. Read, 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 read. It will definitely come in handy. Embrace change, and I don't know how primary school is now, and maybe there's a lot of technology that's already embedded within your education, but I wish I had embraced more technology in my studies, and actually read more, embrace change, be adaptable, and just have an open mind.
The same question again, but to your 16, 17-year-old self.
Oh, 16, 17, wow. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a good time to hone in on good behaviors, because the sooner you can start building those behaviors at 16, I think at 16 you're normally, in year 10, 11, it's a good time to pick up those skills because they'll definitely hold you steadfast in the next part if you want to continue your academic progression, or whether it be an apprenticeship. So honing on those skills, especially discipline and staying focused. Continue reading and definitely be adaptable. Life is life. Everything that happens in life happens for a reason. So I'm sure if I had taken a different trajectory at 16 or when I was younger, I wouldn't have seen the world, experienced other things. But yeah, I think just probably the key piece of advice is don't care what other people's opinions are. Just focus on you, what you want to do. And probably gonna go against what this interview might be. If you don't want to go to uni, don't go to uni, but just find something. I mean, I was at a reunion recently, 10-year reunion, and the most successful person, if you want to put it that way, in our class of 2011 was someone that never even finished year 12. They finished year 11, but they went on and did an apprenticeship to become a real estate agent, and they've done amazing. And so, find what you like, and if it means doing academic studies, go ahead. But just find what you want and don't care about other people's opinion at the end of the day. You know, if you see your friends doing X and X, and to an extent, if you feel that, your friends are doing better in, say, their academics, rather than chasing them and trying to keep up with them, focus on you, and eventually you will get to the stage that you want to get to. So, yeah. Work in progress. No, I think parents. I think parents always will always be proud of their children, and I guess so. I do tend to speak in the third person, but we should speak more in the. I believe my parents are probably proud of me, but at the same time, they don't allow me to rest on my laurels. They want me to continue pursuing my dreams, and for them, I believe, for them, success is paired to academic success. I'm in a happy place at the moment, or until the house starts getting built. Now I'm in a happy place, and the future, even though it has its own uncertain can't pronounce that properly, uncertainties. We just have to remain optimistic and just take day by day, really.
So in finishing, considering your life experiences, the family that you're raised in, the past that you've had, the person that you've grown to be, what kind of like words would you have for young kids from refugee background? Follow your dream. I know it's going to be hard with the expectations we tend to have from our parents, in the sense of there is, life is linear in the sense of, you finish your primary school, your high school, you go to uni, get a wife or husband or a partner, and, build a house, have kids, and then, it's not actually like that. There's a lot of wiggle room. Life allows us for a lot of wiggle room, and so whatever you come across, or whatever challenges or opportunities come across, take them for what they are, and then just work through them as you go. As I touched on, even though university is a great thing, and also it's something to aspire to, it's not the only path. There's definitely a lot of other paths. In a lot of cases, what you might actually study at uni might not be actually what you work in. So, I work in IT, and my boss is a psychologist. And then another manager is a biomedical graduate. But they work in a totally different field to what they studied. So at the end of the day, just find what you want to do, whether it be becoming a cop, or a cook, or anything really. Just find what you want to do, and then at the end of the day, the pressure from the community, your family and your parents, it won't matter. At the end of the day, it just won't matter.